This video is going to be about basic probability for our Honors Algebra 3-4 class. We're going to be covering just the introduction to what probability is and a couple different uses of it, multiple events and conditional probability. So to start off, let's have the brief discussion of what basic probability is. So probability is defined as the number of desired outcomes divided by the total possible outcomes. On the simplest level, think of flipping a coin. There are two possible outcomes. It is either heads or it is tails. The probability that it will be heads is 1/2. We all know this because there is only one way for it to land heads, and there are two ways that it could possibly land. So the number of desired outcomes, 1, landing heads, divided by the total possible outcomes, 2, heads or tails. So the notation that we have is probability P of an event, and inside the parentheses we would write down what we want to happen, like probability of heads. Okay. Now, probability will always come out with a number between 0 and 1. So very quickly we must say and write down in our notes that a probability equals 0 if there is no chance the event will occur. And a probability of 1 means the event will always occur. If I was to say, what are the chances that when I flip the coin, it will land heads or tails? That's a probability of 1. It will definitely land heads or tails. Okay? Later, we will see an example of a probability of 0. Here are some examples of things that you'll be doing on your assignment. Rolling a 6-sided die. This says, what is the probability or chance that we will roll a 3? There is only one way to roll a 3 out of the 6 possible outcomes. Simple, 1/6. If I write, what is the possibility of rolling an even? Well, there are 3 possible ways to do that. 2, 4, or 6. So 3 possible outcomes that are desired. I want an even number. Divided by 6, the total possible outcomes. So we reduce that to 1/2, and that's basic probability. Now, basic probability can grow when we discuss the probability of multiple events. Let's say 2 things are going to happen. What are the chances that if I flip a coin and roll the dice, that I get a heads and I roll a 3? Well, there's a 1/2 chance of heads. So I'm going to flip that coin. Half the time it will be heads, and I actually have a chance of winning the game. So now I roll the die. 1 out of the 6 rolls will be a 3. Half the time I will check the die, and 1/6 of those times it will be a 3. So we're going to multiply the probability of getting the heads times the probability of rolling the 3. 1/2 times 1/6 would be 1/12. 1 out of 12 times it should land heads, and I should roll the 3 at the same time. So the probability of multiple events, of event A happening and then B, you take the probability of A and multiply it by the probability of B. I don't want to discuss whether these are independent or dependent events due to the fact that it's a little ambiguous when we say event A, then B. When event A happens, it could have a small impact on B, so we want to look at them one and then the other. Here's an example. In a standard deck of cards, and on your assignment, I have put together a example of what a standard deck of cards is. And so I'll talk now that there are 52 cards. Clubs is one of the 4 suits. Each has 13 cards. So this says probability of a club and then another club. So first, there are 13 clubs in the deck out of the 52 cards. And then I want to draw another card, but the card that I drew is no longer there. So I don't have 13 to choose from anymore. I have 12. But there are only 51 cards left. So one of the things I can do is I can begin to reduce it. That's 1 out of 4. This is still 12 over 51. And the 4 will divide that, become a 3. 51 is actually able to be reduced by 3 to be a 17. And so I now have, reduce the 3, a 1 in 17 chance that they will both be clubs. Now, this is what is called with replacement, or without replacement. I did not put the card back into the deck. I just drew another card. Would it change if I did this without with replacing the card? 13 out of 52. I put the card back, which means my next event is still 13 out of 52. Well, both of those reduced to 1/4, which gives me 1/16. It's actually slightly more likely to get 2 clubs if I actually put the club back in the deck. That should make sense. We have more options, more desired outcomes. Okay? So that is the difference between without replacement, where it does affect the second draw, with replacement. You just go right back to the original probability. The last thing we're going to cover is conditional probability. That just means finding the chances that something will happen given a certain condition has already happened. For example, the probability of drawing a king, given that you know it's already a face card. So somebody drew a card and said, it's a face card. Now what are the chances it's a king? Well, it's still all about number of desired outcomes divided by total possible outcomes. So the number of desired outcomes, how many kings are in the deck? 1 of each of the 4 suits. So 4. But now I don't put it over all the total cards. Now it's how many cards are face cards. That's my possible outcomes. I have affected, with this condition, the total possible outcomes. Well, there are 3 face cards, Jack, Queen, and King, in each of the 4 suits. 3 times 4 is 12. So I only have 12 possibilities. This reduces to 1/3. If someone tells me it's a face card, now I have a 1 in 3 chance that it is a king. What about the probability that the card is a heart, given that the suit is black? So someone draws a card, they give you a hint. By the way, the suit is one of the black suits. What is the probability that it's a heart? Well, if you don't know anything about cards, a heart is red. So what are the chances the card is red, given that someone already told you it was black? 0. There are no possible outcomes that will be favorable to us. So that's a probability of 0. Guys, this is the basics that you will need to be able to complete the worksheet in class. Hopefully you took notes or watched this the night before you came to class so that things made sense. That's it. See you guys when I get back.